I don't want to like only bring it down to the fans, but I think they really helped me to understand what Norwich City really is. The whole situation, as soon as the ball left Hanley's foot, I knew that I'm going to score. Like, I want to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, that was my goal, and that's why I asked the club to release me, which never happened. Alex Neil said, "I won't let you go," and it was tough. Nah, the second one was bad. But it's the truth, no? Like,
which one?
I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm not gonna lie and tell you that my nose is beautiful, but it is to me. But I mean, it is on the pitch. I mean, I broke it 4 times, so I have to say, I mean, that year I was like really 50-50 on how much effort I wanted to give towards like the team, towards the manager. And
hello and welcome to a brand new exclusive TNC podcast. I am so super pumped and super excited to get stuck into this yellow and green conversation. A player that I have no doubt that you Talk Norwich City subscribers will absolutely love to hear from. 128 appearances for Norwich City, 10 glorious goals, 1 championship title, East Anglian Derby Day hero. This man's name is etched into Canary folklore forever. He's big, he's Swiss, he's got a house in this. Timm Klose, Timm Klose. Tim, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yes, I'm good. Thanks to be here and be part of that amazing podcast.
Thank you very much, matey. I appreciate that. I did hear through the grapevine that you enjoyed the Mario Vrancic episode. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah, I even watched the one with Tommy. He did send me something because he mentioned me, and then I was like, well, I have to listen to it. But yeah, obviously the Ranjit one I was listening to as well. Yeah.
Okay, Super Mario. We'll get on to that. And I must start by saying congratulations. You've signed a new contract at Bristol, so you must be absolutely buzzing, mate.
Yes, I'm really happy that I was able to sign for the club. I mean, I had a few offers this summer, but we had a few options, I would say, because my family is getting bigger now. So we had to make decisions on where we want to go next, if we want to stay home or if we want to just call it a day and just stop playing football. So, but in the end, I think Bristol was the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And I do look forward to coming up against you next season. I'm sure the Barclay will be kind to you. Ish.
As long as I'm not scoring, I think, yes, they will.
Tim, if you score, that's it. I'm deleting this episode. That's it.
I guess so, yeah.
Matey, let's start at the beginning, if you don't mind. Obviously, you join Norwich City Football Club. You walk through the Colney pearly gates, a January signing, which of course brings different pressures and stuff like that. You've gone on record before saying that you had some other options as well as Norwich City. So I guess just talk me through that process of joining Norwich City. Was that a stressful time for you?
Well, yeah, it was a bit. I mean, I had a great time at Wolfsburg in Germany, but I thought, or I had the feeling that I should just make the next step or take on a new adventure. And I thought, in the UK, that would be a great thing to do. And then we had talks with different clubs in the Prem, and it was always a bit of a, I don't know, it would have been a struggle to get into the team. Right. With some teams, because I knew I'm coming in January. I'm coming in January, which is always a difficult thing to do. But when I was talking to Alex Neil, he almost guaranteed me to play, and I think, well, I liked the facilities. I liked the city very much, although I was very tired, and I fell asleep towards the end. Because I just came back from my holidays, I think, and that was like a 15 or 16-hour trip. So I think in the end it was just the whole package that like really took me over, and then I decided to accept that adventure.
What was that first meeting like with Alex Neil? Of course, very broad Scottish bloke. Was it difficult to understand the Scottish lingo, or did you pick it up quite quickly?
No, it was really hard. Especially, I mean, I knew the English language, but the school English is always different to like different accents around the UK. So it was hard in the beginning, but I think the chat was very open, very honest. I think that's also what I am. I think I'm very honest, and I'm not gonna talk around the cake. I'm going to go straight towards it, and I think that was in the end the initial for the signing.
What was it like working under Alex Neil, Tim? Because of course at the time, very inexperienced manager, only managed at Hamilton beforehand. How did that work with you? Were you worried about working under an inexperienced manager, or were you just so sold on the club that it almost didn't matter who the manager was?
I mean, it did not matter to me that much. I think you have to give like young managers a chance, obviously, and I think he did a great job. But I don't know, when we went down afterwards, I think we're gonna talk about it afterwards. But there were some things that there were strange things happen, and that's why maybe in the end he got sacked. But all in all, I have to say he's a great manager. I had fun working with him, under him, and obviously going towards the end of his time at Norwich, we had some misunderstandings, but I apologized to him afterwards when we met, when we played Preston, and I think yeah, you can put that ad acta, as we say.
Well, look, I think that's interesting. We will definitely pick up on that, Timmy. Don't you worry at all. We're going to talk about the light before the dark of that Premier League relegation and Alex Neil getting sacked, etc. Very interested to delve deeper into your comments just there for sure. Let's start on a light note, though. A game that I'll always remember of you in the Premier League, where I really thought, wow, what a signing we've got here. Newcastle at home, 3-2. Olsen with the winner. Of course, you scored an absolutely superb header in that game. Was that the game for you where you were like, right, I'm here, I've arrived, or did that come before that game?
I would say I struggled for the first two games. I would say just to get used to the pace and you know what the Premier League actually is. I think that's always a hard thing, but I adapted quite fast to the pace and everything, and then um, once I got over the 3 goals from Kane, I think when we played Tottenham at home, or 2, I can't actually remember, but yeah, I had like, I was talking to myself a lot and to my mental coach on where we could like just put some little adjustments. And yeah, after a hard knock at Swansea away, I think that was even that game I felt more comfortable, but we lost 1-0 unfortunately. But yeah, from that moment on, I just felt like I belong to the Premier League. Yeah.
Did you always have a mental coach, Timmy? Because that's something that comes up a lot in conversations. And, you know, I really enjoy self-psychology myself personally. And there's always question marks over mentality at Norwich City Football Club. Did you always have a one-to-one mental coach, or was that something that the club put on for you? How did that work?
No, I got one when I was in Nuremberg. That was my first station in Germany. So I organized one, and I thought it was necessary because I'm always like, I'm hungry for success. Obviously, everywhere I go, I want to be the best. I want to win trophies. I want to just make my mark. And sometimes I couldn't deal with things when things did not work my way or did not went my way. And yeah, I had some down times in my career, and well, I can't say it was all down to him, but he helped me massively getting out of those darker times, and it made me stronger as a person and as a football player.
Yeah, I do think it's a gap that I think a lot of it almost seems daft that we don't have that. Like, it should just be a standard, right? Because that Premier League pressure at any level, but especially the Premier League, and obviously with social media and stuff these days as well, it can be really full on. So it's very interesting to hear that from you. Tim, slight tangent. Welcome to the Talk Norwich City podcast. A bloke that's just popped into my head who you played with, and I've never heard any stories about him. Dear Mercy Mbakani. What was he like as a player up front for us, battering teams left, right, and centre? What was he like behind the scenes, Mbakani?
It was good fun. Obviously, I'm capable of. I was capable of talking to him because I knew French, so it was easy for us to chat to each other. And like, obviously, you always have those little groups in a team where you had the French players together, you had the English players together, you had some. Well, I was the only German player anyway. Well, Swiss, but yeah, I was my entry ticket to a lot of things because they always said, "Oh, you can speak French." So we started to talk, and he was just a really nice guy, very friendly, a bit crazy because sometimes he had the feeling he needs to fly back to Paris, and then he stayed there, and then didn't show up for training, and then all of a sudden came back. But I think I wouldn't say a little Dennis Rodman, but I mean, he was a bit crazy, but on the game day, he was always there for us, and he gave 100%, and that's why I was never angry at him that he did things like that, because I knew that he gives 100% on the weekend.
That's the thing, Tim. I always think with Dear Mercy, it's a bit of a myth as to why it ended, because you looked at what he did on the pitch. We've seen him score some great goals away at Newcastle, at home to Liverpool, that back heel. But it's perhaps that inconsistency behind the scenes that meant that he didn't keep his place. Because I looked at him and I remember asking him for a photograph once upon a time when I was a younger fan. And I just remember him like grunting at me, like being a very scary bloke, and on the pitch, so scary. So interesting to hear your insight.
He's a nice guy. He's just I don't know. Sometimes they put on a wall to protect themselves, obviously. But as I said, as a friend back in the day, he was great.
Good to hear your insight on that. And something that I do want to ask you about now, I've got to take you to what I think might potentially be one of the darkest moments of your career. We go away to Crystal Palace. Now, Timmy, let me tell you, my friend, the fans were raucous. It was one of the best away days ever. There was flares, there was beer everywhere. We were singing in the concourse. It was Gary O'Neill. It was all of those players, and you were in great form. And then you get injured. And I remember looking at Jack and literally crying, saying, "It's done. It's over." What was going through your head at that time?
Well, I thought it isn't that bad, actually. I thought I can just like relax a few days and then play again. But yeah, when they told me that it's going to be longer than just 2 weeks, I knew that the season for me is pretty much over. Yeah, it's a hard thing to accept injuries sometimes. I think the darkest, if you want to say, I'm not a fan of talking about darkest things, and but that's just me. I mean, like the darkest one for me was the PCL injury against Crawley. I mean, that was hard as well, especially because I came back from a summer of a long recovery from a small operation, and I just wanted to get ready for the Premier League season. And then you have that not stupid game, but you have like an unnecessary away game against Crawley, and then you injure yourself and you're out for 9 months. So yeah, you can pick which is worse, but obviously back to the beginning, or the early days, I would say that was pretty hard, to accept.
I actually still get upset thinking about it, because it's been the only time where I've just gone, like, you were so critical, and I'm genuinely not just saying this because I'm talking to you. You were so critical when you went down I just looked around and just the fans were just like literally devastated. I'm not sure if it was just because there was just so much beer consumed that day, but nonetheless, it was a very sad time. So let's drag you down those sad times just a little bit longer, and let's start to talk about the following season now. So you're relegated. Things are pretty sad behind the scenes. Alex Neil gets the sack. Alan Irvine comes in. So I think now is probably the right time, Timmy, to probe you a bit more on your comments earlier around your relationship with Alex Neil and sort of what happened. You said he did some strange things. Can you shed any light for the Norwich City fans on those strange things?
I don't know. Like, as I said, like when we went down, I had some offers to go to different Premier League clubs again, even though I was injured, and I asked the club if I can leave. And well, I'm not the guy who wants to quit things, but I thought like I want to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, that was my goal, and that's why I asked the club to release me, which never happened. Alex Neil said, "I won't let you go," and yeah, it was tough for me because obviously I thought I did not show that much in the Prem. It was only, I think, 10 games, so I thought like I need more games to show how good I am. And then I went into the new season, obviously with mixed feelings, and I have to say, I mean, that year I was like really 50-50 on how much effort I wanted to give towards like the team, towards the manager and everything. Because it was tough for me to accept that they won't let me go. I think that's just like a thing in the head that a lot of footballers have. But then I think halfway through the season, I then connected more and more with the fans. I was like almost a year in the club then. I think I don't want to like only bring it down to the fans, but I think they really helped me to understand what Norwich City really is and what it means to them. And then I think my mind just changed from that moment on, and I was like, well, I want to help the club, and I want to be here to get the club back up again. And unfortunately, things happened back then. Things were being said, and I got kicked out of the squad, and like a lot of things, weird things happened. And then Alex Neil got sacked, and that's why I said I had to apologize to him as well, because I said things that I didn't mean, and obviously he must have too. But for me, it's always, as I said, I'm an honest person. I have to look in the mirror and reflect on things, and I have to be self-critical sometimes and say, listen, that wasn't right from me. That wasn't fair against the club, against the team mates, against the fans. And but sometimes you need that like down phase maybe to just realize things. And as I said, from that moment on, I really had the feeling that I have to give more than just what I can do. I think more than just being on the pitch and do my best. I thought I have to do on the pitch, off the pitch, in training, everywhere. I need to be a good representative for the club.
I never, and thank you so much, Tim. I never knew that, and I really appreciate your honesty. I never knew that you wanted to leave, and it's sad to hear. But I'm almost counting our lucky stars that you hung around, because of course Alan Irvine then doesn't materialize. That sort of just kind of goes out the window. Daniel Farke comes along, so we're now at 2017-18. What was that period like for you? Because that season was quite difficult, right? Because I guess you had to adapt, just like the other players, to his training schedule, to his style of football. Was that hard for you, or did you prefer Daniel Farke to Alex Neil in that respect?
That's how we train in Germany. So I got used to that pretty fast. And as I said, I had the mission in my head, and I wanted to make sure that Daniel has a very easy life at Norwich, and just to make sure that I'm as good as possible to help him. And we had a lot of talks, we had a lot of chats, and I just felt that I have to give 100% for him. It's always great if you can say something like that for a manager, that you wanted to give everything for that manager, and in Daniel's case, that's 100% true, because I really clicked with him, not only on a professional basis. I mean, even on a personal one. We even like text each other now. So and that just shows you how good of a person he is, actually.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that you're still in touch with Tim. It really is. It just shows how powerful that connectivity of Norwich City is. A question I've thought of off the back of that, though, is I think you might be the odd one out here, Timmy, because when Daniel Farke came in, we've spoken, of course, on this podcast to Cameron Jerome, to Wes Houlihan, to Russell Martin, and I'm getting this vibe, and I'm picking up snippets of information that the experienced players that had only ever played in Britain, to coin a term, they really struggled with getting up to speed and the Farke life, so to put it. But do you agree with that? Do you think that the experienced players just didn't click with Daniel at first glance, or not?
It's hard for me to judge. Obviously, they've never seen a different training style. I mean, we trained, sometimes we trained twice a day, and which wasn't the case when Alex Neil was there, or even at Irvine. So it's different, and you have to accept it, and you have to adapt to it, and sometimes it's quite hard. And we had a lot of injuries, obviously, as well, and then the start of the season wasn't great, and I mean the whole season was a little bit up and down. So yeah, I think it just took a while to set that system, or that philosophy took a while to settle in.
Okay, then. So we've done the dark times, we've done the challenging times. Let's bring it up to the good times now. 2018-19. Let's not mess around. Let's bring those good vibes back to you, Tim. A ball goes over the top to Grant Hanley. Grant Hanley, I've never seen a player run so fast in all my life. He gets on the end of it, he crosses the ball in, you get your skull on it, stick it in the back of the net against Ipswich Town at Carrow Road. I've never seen so many broken seats, Tim. Literally every seat around me was snapped. People were climbing on top of each other. It was going berserk. What were your memories of that day against Ipswich?
It wasn't even the win, no. I think it was more you don't want to get beaten by them.
Yeah.
So yeah, memories. What can I say? It was crazy. I mean, we went into the game and we knew that this season wasn't like really the best season of us, and we knew that we have to, like, if we want to connect to the fans, it has to be those games. And then obviously going down in the 88th minute. Yeah, that was late. So every one of us thought, like, Jesus, that can't happen. And then right after the goal, I was walking forward, and then I looked at Daniel, and Daniel said, listen, you just need to go forward now and stay there and try your best and head it in. But yeah, I mean, the whole situation, as soon as the ball left Hanley's foot, I knew that I'm going to score. I don't know why, actually. The only thing was I didn't know how to celebrate. I was so happy, so I was like, I had no idea where to look. I had no idea which one of the players I have to grab and drag down to the ground with me. And even afterward, the whole celebration, I was like so pumped, still so full of energy, that I had to like fist pump the air and like give it towards the Ipswich fans as well. And it was an unbelievable feeling.
Mate, honestly, it's so good to hear that, and it does bring a smile to my face. And that you're so right about your celebration, because it's almost like once the normal celebration had finished, you went back for more, and it looked like your head was going to pop off your head, because you just released so much passion towards the snake pit. absolutely incredible memories, and I'm sure incredible memories of that 2018-19 season as well. Obviously winning the title, back into the Premier League. What was the secret recipe to that team from your opinion, Tim? Because we've asked Anel, we've asked Tom Tribal, we've asked Mario Vancic. In your opinion, why did that 2018-19 team click?
If I look back, I thought that the team we had when we came down from the Premier League was better than the team we had when we went up. The only difference was we were a team. And you felt that on the pitch, you felt it off the pitch. And as I said, in my head, I was always referring to that boat, and we all have to row in the same direction. Yeah. And I felt we did that perfectly. We didn't like when one player had an injury, the next one came in and did the job perfectly. So it was just, it was all around. It was just great performances everywhere, and the team really grew together. And I think that was maybe the main difference. And as I said, like in my head, I had this mission to bring the club back to the Prem. And after that, like maybe 6 months of like wanting to leave, but after that, I was really like, I need to give that to the fans. I need to give it to me, to the club, to everyone who believes. That's why it was just a great feeling.
Absolutely epic. Right. It's time for some random questions. It wouldn't be a Talk Norwich City podcast without some quick fire random questions for the viewers and listeners around the world, the Canary Nation. Normally with the guest, I'll tell them the rough questions before we start, so there's no surprises, but there's going to be surprises this time. So Tim, 5 random questions. Question 1.
How long has the answer going to be?
As quick as you can. Just as quick as you can. Right. Hashtag Instacrass. What the hell does that mean?
It's like Insta-cool. Crass is a Swiss word for cool.
Oh, right. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
Never knew that. Insta-cool. There you go. I love the hat. I remember it back in the day. Question 2. Chelsea away, FA Cup. Do you remember what you did in that game?
Yeah, I gave the fax back to the one fan who came on the pitch. Yeah, I wanted to keep them for myself, but obviously I was friendly and gave it back.
Don't make me laugh. I've got a cold. You giving your cigarettes back was just that was just so funny. Okay, next question. And I genuinely have forgotten this, so I want you to tell me. You've said there in a previous answer to me that you didn't really know how to celebrate. There is one celebration.
I never know how to celebrate.
Now, I'm going to be a bit brave here, Tim. When we've talked about this celebration on the podcast before, I can only liken it to almost like a drunk donkey. You scored at home at Carrow Road, and you sort of stumbled forwards, and you sort of like headbutted the corner flag. What was that game? Who was that against? Was it Forest?
I have no idea. I thought it was. I have no idea actually. I never know how to celebrate. It's like something I always talk about, like how the next goal is being celebrated, but then once I score, something always happens. The only goal I really knew exactly what I wanted to do was when I scored the second goal away at Forest, and then I knew exactly I wanted to do the captain to the fans. So that's the only thing I remember actually doing on purpose. The rest was just pure. I don't know, childness in my head. I don't know how to explain it.
Some of the most memorable celebrations. Okay, 4th question. Which version of your song did you prefer? Because of course there was he's big, he's Swiss, he's got a house in Dis, but there was also he's big, he's Swiss, his nose was on the piss. How did you feel about that second version?
Nah, the second one was better. But it's the truth, no? Like Like,
Which one?
I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm not gonna lie and tell you that my nose is beautiful, but it is to me. But I mean, it is on the piece. I mean, I broke it 4 times, so
It's really, I never knew that. Okay, there you go. Fifth and final question: favorite beach in Norfolk?
Horsey Beach.
Yes, good choice. So it definitely wouldn't be Great Yarmouth. So no, yes,
I took my dad once, and then he was like, "That must." He had a shock. He said, "Like, we have to leave." I remember that one.
I'm so pleased you said that, because we often have a lot of bands from TalkNorwichCity about the standard of Great Yarmouth. So that's going to get me some points on Jack. Okay, Tim. Next, and I'm rushing through because I know that you're short for time today. But there is one thing that we do on this podcast with every guest: we get them to write out their perfect Norwich City 11 from their time at the club. So I'm going to get this up on screen. If you could lean over slightly for me, talk me through this side. Why have you picked these players? Because there's a couple in there that, perhaps we could start. Robbie Brady. That's a name that we've never had in the ideal teams before.
I mean, I've been with the club for 6 years or something like that. So I've played with some amazing players, and obviously Timmy. If we go through, I mean, Tim, I could have gone for John Roddy as well.
Yes.
That was like a hard one, but Timmy and I, we just like had a special bond, and it clicked between us. So I had to go for Timmy. Same with Pinto and Zimmerman. I mean, Zimmerman was like my brother. He's still the one I'm like in contact with mostly, most of the time. Pinto is just when I arrived, he came as well, and
Yes, I remember.
it was like us two. And I mean, I could have gone for Max Aarons there, which I believe is one of the most talented players we've ever seen on the right side there. But obviously Pinto and I had like a special connection again. The same with Zimmerman, as I said. I mean, Ross was great. Bass was great. There were some amazing centre backs, but again, because of the connection. Brady really helped me out at the beginning. I think he's a fantastic player. But I remember, I think it was my first session, and it was like a tactic session with Alex Neil, and I couldn't understand the word he said, and I had to ask Robbie Brady, and he came over and he explained everything to me. I mean, from that moment on, we were like good friends as well.
Nice.
Johnny is just Johnny. He's unreal. He's unreal. Like those 2 years or 3 years, I was lucky to play with him. I mean, he was an engine. He still is actually. So yeah, that's for sure. Redmond. Yeah, I mean, talented. If someone wants to see how talented he is, just watch the last goal against Liverpool, and then you know how good he is. So that's why Mads and I, we just had a special bond. He's a baller, and I want to be a baller, so I think that's why we clicked so good. And he's I don't know. I still can't get over the fact that he didn't get a call up for the national team, but
I don't understand it.
it's crazy. He's a great player and a very, very down to earth guy. Don't just go through the Instagram stuff and think that that's him. He's completely different. Wezo.
Where do you start with Izzy?
I don't need to talk about Wezo. I mean, if someone wants to know how good Wezo was, just watch the game against Forest, I think, where he scored from the halfway line, or Wednesday, I think, where he just like chopped the ball 3 or 4 times, took out like 5 players and scored afterwards.
Yeah.
Or even on his last game, or in his last game.
Yeah.
He scored as well, obviously. He's a great person, unbelievable lefty. Don't go for the right foot because he's just for standing.
Yeah.
But it's just all in all around. He's a great, unbelievable guy.
And
I
then
like.
there's last two. Come on, Emmy, Pookie, talk to me.
Emmy. I mean, when he came, I always tried to speak Spanish to him and make life easy for him.
Yeah. Successfully or non-successfully?
We actually called each other corazón, which means heart, like you're my heart in Spanish.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's how good we had the connection.
Okay.
And again, like just his head sometimes blew off because he was so angry. And it's something I like very much. Like, he was angry, but then in the same time, he won the ball back and he gave you that final pass or the goal. Or it's just a great player. And last but not least, I mean, I wasn't quite sure which striker I'm gonna take, because obviously Jerome, I like Jerome very much, the tank. I was very close to pick Nelson Oliveira because I think he's an unreal striker. He's a bit one that goes, like, how do you say that, under the radar?
Yeah.
He's Nelson. I mean, his head. I think his head killed him in the end. The one where he put up the T-shirt in front of Daniel. I think that killed him a little bit. But I mean, he's really good. I like him very much.
Yeah.
And he can like score with his left, with his right, with his head, and very good striker. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I gave it to Pookie because just for how we worked for the team.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the guy who was talking that much. He just tried to go out and just help as much as possible, run, fight, score. And I think even in the dressing room, everyone liked him, although he was quiet. And I think that's why I went to pick him in the end. Yeah.
What a side. Let me know in the comments what you think of Timm Klose's Norwich City 11. Tim, I have to ask you this. I know we're short of time, but I have to ask you, are you all right with how it ended at Norwich City? Because it's pretty much out there and well documented that you had to train with the under-23s. We've heard from Tom Tribal on that before as well. How did that make you feel, having to play for the under-23s and your exit from Norwich City? Because I know that you've gone on record before saying that it was a bit disappointing for you. Could you shed some light on that?
Well, I don't want to go into too much details. Obviously, I wasn't happy. I was a bit disappointed. I mean, we had chats with Stuart and Daniel. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I made mistakes. They made mistakes. I apologized. As most of the times I apologize when I realized that I was in how do you say that, in the fault. So I then am man enough to stand up and say sorry, which I did. But yeah, it was sad to go out that way, but I'm happy to come back this year, or maybe next year. It depends on the schedule, and then maybe say like proper goodbye to the fans.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so. And Tim, I know you've just signed a new contract, but when I've leaked this information to a few friends of mine that you're coming on, one of the questions was, I could see Timm Klose as a manager. Would you ever get into football management at all?
I always wanted to be a sporting director. Actually, I was studying sport management on the side, which I've finished now, and I have my degree. But I'm doing my A license at the moment as well, just on the side. So it's just good to keep doors open, and maybe I go into coaching, maybe I go into the like management kind of thing. But yeah, I have to see. The only thing I want to do now is just enjoy my last years, I would say. I don't know how much more I have in my legs. I try my best to keep up with the youngsters, but they are getting better every year.
Well, look, I wish you the very best of luck. Apart from against Norwich City Football Club, I will be giving you plenty of stick in the Barclay when you arrive. Don't worry. Timmy, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me again. And yeah, see you in Norwich.
Thank you very much. Oh, just quickly, actually, I always ask this question. Have you got a message for the Norwich fans? Because they're all watching and listening now. Have you got a message
on
for them?
the ball, City.
Hey!